In answer to our previous question, Granny, yes, it was.
And we have been deprogrammed.
Well, that's right. And on a completely unrelated note, Granny, and this is true. I can guarantee you, no word of a lie. The Octo lair smells like popcorn, which is a bit of a coincidence here. Like, because yes, I don't know what's going on with that, but definitely can smell popcorn. Hopefully, it's nothing nefarious, but or something trying to burn down the Octo lair. But it's definitely smelling like popcorn around here.
Well, I mean, there's been lots of movies and things where you see that the popcorn just keeps going and going and going and growing and overtaking whoever's in the room. So just watch out if you start feeling something crunchy under your feet.
Well, that's right. That's exactly right. If you start seeing these little white things popping up around the place, you know what it is. That's right. Well, welcome back. And we're on episode 19 now, Granny, I think it is.
Oh, I suppose because I missed a couple, it's jumped, hasn't it?
Well, that's right. We haven't seen you since episode 4. Yeah, you've been falling over.
Not quite that long.
No, that's good.
But I'm still here. I'm alive.
No, that's good. Yeah. So as Granny alluded to in the live that we just finished filming, she hasn't been feeling very well. I haven't tried to assassinate her. Neither has anyone else, to my knowledge. I don't know in the current light of current things going on. I'm not too sure. But
it was close. It was close. But contrary to popular beliefs, I actually got COVID after going to my school class reunion. And I've been suffering for a little bit.
That's right. So, you humans shouldn't be enjoying yourselves. That's what I take away from that. So, no more fun for you, Granny.
I said the same thing. They said, go out, come out, have fun, be social, mix with people. Yeah, great. And then suffer for a week in bed because you got COVID.
Well, that's right. And and like I said in the live as well, for those that haven't seen it, all 4.5 billion people on the planet, was that Granny went to ground. She was quite unwell. Like most of the time I can't shut her up. Every 3 seconds it's pinging Instagram and Facebook. But I didn't hear from our resident geriatric for a couple of days. I was quite worried. I thought life of a reseller, was rubbing his hands together, ready to replace you by the looks of it.
Yes, well, bad luck, Blake. I'm back.
Well, any opportunity to push you off the perch, put it that way.
Yeah.
So I think today is our long-awaited follow-up to our episode that we released probably about a month ago, actually. Where we asked the question, did we join a reselling cult? So we did a bit of a review on the then Daily Refinement and Tech and Sports Patreon and Facebook group. So a little things have happened since then, and I have put an update on Instagram and YouTube as to what's happened since then. And we thought we'd fill in because let's be very transparent, right? This episode was planned for the best part of since we released the previous episode. We were going to have a follow-on just to see, because we did make some suggestions. We didn't think it would be as well received as it was. And we'll go into that a bit later as well. We made some suggestions. We gave some honest feedback, some constructive feedback as well. Like some people might see it as constructive criticism or constructive feedback, depending which side of the bed you roll out of. But we did make some points. We ultimately said, as it currently stood at the time, we wouldn't recommend it for Australian viewers, from my memory. But we basically reinforce, if you're in America or North America and you've got access to all the different offerings they have, different calls and all those different things. Primarily, the reason we came to that conclusion was because of the time zones. I think Granny was a bit more lenient than I was in her assessments. So what bit of a recap. The initial outlay, so we pay about $65 Australian a month to join the group, which in contrast to other I suppose reselling offerings and mentorships and coachings, that's quite affordable. However, because of the time zones, we're constantly we're relying on pre-recorded materials. And one of the suggestions we'll get into a bit later was that that you basically put your question like in a Facebook post or something along the lines of that, and that coach would answer that question on the live. But we'll go on a little bit further about that later in the episode. But that's where I stood. I think Granny was similar along the lines as I was.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, a part of the issue with that was that even though we could perhaps have organised, if they had have taken that suggestion on, would have been would have improved things a little. We still missed out because we couldn't have that interaction of actually being live and asking a question and having that person respond, and then us able to then respond back to whatever they've said. So, in terms of that, we were quite limited with what we could access as far as that went.
Yeah. And I think before we go into our assessment now follow-on episode, I just want to bring attention that we're not reflecting on the current events that's being brought up by a certain YouTuber in Florida. So basically, we're basically looking at primarily from our personal experiences as Octo and Grumpy Granny.
And what happened post-review?
Yeah, that's right. That post-review in the sense to us personally, right? So we're not looking into the politics. We don't particularly care, but we want to draw to the attention that both Chris Lynn and Tekken Sports, whatever his real name is, are real people, right? They're real humans, not lizard people, as Grady may have thought. And treat them as such. There's a lot of allegations and a lot of things going around in the interwebs at the moment.
Talking of which, I'll interrupt there just for a sec, because talking of which, there have been allegations that you are human.
I don't believe that for a second.
I told them, I said, no, that's not true.
No, that's right. That's exactly
slanderous,
right. So,
really.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I'll put you in prison if you keep saying things like that. But like I was saying, that both Chris Lynn and Tech are humans, so that therefore treat them as such. There's a lot of serious allegations being thrown around. Not so much at Tech, but obviously I'm concerned about the YouTubers in question, their mental health, and obviously their family status and all the different things that go into those different things. So it's well and good to be a keyboard warrior and give you 2 cents about how you feel about these YouTubes until these allegations are founded or otherwise. I'll be quite. I'm not going to put my tentacles into the mix, put it that way, because like I said,
those things have an effect not only on that person that the allegations are put forward to, but also it has an effect on their family, and their friends, so it's a wider concern rather than just, that happens with that person.
Yeah, because we don't want to be seen as making this episode, because like I said, it was purely coincidental, and we mean that 110%. That, we were slated for this episode to release last week, but because Grumpy Granny decided to hit the booze a little too hard and catch COVID, we had to slide it by a week. And unfortunately, possibly fortunately for us for the views, it's basically going to align with the current stuff that's going on at the moment, which like I said, we don't have a piece in the pie either way. You can take away with this review as to what you probably think of what we think going forward. The suggestions, and like we said previously, is that we would implore that either Tech or Chris Lynn watch the previous video, because I don't think that, spoiler alert, I don't think they did. They probably went off a lot of secondhand information and got a lot of it incorrect. We made a lot of suggestions that could probably be implemented into either their groups. At the current moment, I think Chris Lynn released a video last night saying that he's going to continue the group in some capacity. I would suggest that possibly, and this is entirely up to him. It's obviously not holding anything against him or portraying anything. Is that he has a watch of our video and obviously try and take some things on board.
Yes.
And vice versa, and Tech's moving into a new group of his own, and he does the same thing. So basically, maybe it's a case of he just takes some pointers away, because either or, the way that I personally see it is, as a world dominating octopus, is that actually, and I reinforced this across the video and ever since as well, is that we actually care about the people in the group, but mostly we care about the Australians. Okay, so we did have some quite vulnerable Australians in there, if they'd like to admit it or otherwise, and we'll probably cop a bit of flack for that.
People that needed the support of the group.
That's right, and we'll go into that a bit later as to what we think. We're not going to name names, and we're not going to throw anyone under the bus per se. So you don't have to worry about being targeted around all those different things. But there's a lot of people in that Australian group that needed that extra support or that community. With like I said, and this is only a little small segue, and this is no way replacement for that Australia group. We've remodeled our Thursday morning live, so if they're more than welcome to come into that, and we can assist from that perspective as well. That's obviously not a paid group, and it's not a structured group per se. That will provide the same.
Definitely not a structured group.
It won't provide the same.
If you're unsure what I mean by that, watch this morning's episode.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was a bit clunky. We're getting back in.
It was fun.
The octopus wasn't feeling himself today, unfortunately. But but like I said, that those are my primary concerns, right? So I particularly don't care about the allegations of scamming or the allegations of all these different things that are happening on, or people flinging mud at each other, because apparently that's all you humans care about. It's drama. I'm primarily looking at from our personal experience, and potentially. And like I said, that's not limited to the Australians in the group, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people from different countries, some like from America and from Canada and the UK, that fall into that category. We're concerned about as well. And we had an episode a couple of weeks ago, Granny's last episode, about coaching groups and all those different things. Where whilst I don't think tech and sports and daily refinement fall into that scamming category, I'm more worried about those people that will pop up and try and scoop up those vulnerable people, because they don't have a community per se. Because from what I've seen, a lot of daily refinement's followership, I suppose, in the Facebook group as such, has left, almost fled.
Yes, and I believe that a lot of the coaches that ran the calls, my understanding is at least 12 of those have probably left or have left already. So there are no longer going to be calls in a lot of those categories, including the Australia call, the England call, the shoe call, there's a whole vast variety of those.
So, and that's not to say that daily refinement won't replenish those calls with competent people. I'm no doubt. I don't think that they're going to be replacing with any Tom, Dick, or octopus. But the thing is that I think a lot of the people are displaced by just panicking, right? So they just see something negative happens, or they see some allegations being thrown around, and then they see some prominent members of the group obviously want to disassociate with one person or the other and leave the group. Then those people, obviously, that I suppose, and Granny and I were talking about this before the show, is that if we find a lot of it ourselves, is that people join the group for association for other people. So someone that they might look up to, or they might aspire to be, or they watch on YouTube, they join the group for that. That person withdraws from the group in some capacity, not saying because of the current events, and then that person leaves because no longer their tie to that group is there. And like I was saying before, is that we're more concerned about those people that have no community at the moment. So I think,
they will be feeling very lost probably at the
moment. That's right. And they'll be very displaced. And and I would suggest that you reach out to your adequate support services. Don't fall into the category where you are watching YouTubers, or you're watching TikToks, or whatever you want to do, and they're promising you the world. Because more often than not, tying back to what our previous conversations are, this is probably the area where people come out and primarily to scare you, because you've left one group. Tex started his own group, from my knowledge, which if you want to join that, by all means go for that. I'm not endorsing either group, because I'm
we know nothing about.
We're not in either group anymore. But like
that's
I said,
a little story in itself.
Yeah, that's right. We will get to that. But our main concern is obviously those people that, and I'm not just talking about the vulnerable people. I'm just I suppose that the displacement in the community, because it is quite. Let's be honest. That group probably had 3,000 or 4,000 members, and I'd be quite curious to see what it has now. And I can guarantee you, it's probably not that many from what. The people that have been speaking to the octopus, and they've elected to leave the group in some capacity or another. And that's, like I said, that's not a reflection on anyone in particular, and that's possibly a reflection on the current environment and the current allegations. However, that once everything calms down and resolves itself, the group might go back to what it was before, right? So I'm not saying that. It's only what we're deducing from what I suppose our reasoned, our commentary, right? So we're basically looking from a different angle and thinking to ourselves, look, we're not picking sides in the sense of who's right, who's wrong. The octopus has his own theories and mightn't necessarily align with what I'm going to be saying today. I've had a few interactions with Tech and Chris Lynn through the group, and to say they're very uneventful, to tell you the truth. Like I said, there was no animosity or ill will, I suppose, after our video from those two members particularly. So that, and the allegations that are thrown at Daily Refinement, I really don't have anything personally to back that up, so I'm not going to make any comment on that.
Yeah.
So I think that's our stance from that perspective. Obviously, like I said, that this was primarily a flow on from what we experienced after our last video. So quite in isolation to what the current events are.
There were a few things going on behind the scenes, weren't there?
Yeah. So in future, if anyone wants to fling mud, can they please wait till after we do our recap episode so it doesn't look like it's coincidental? Because we don't want to be seen as capitalizing on this different thing, because we had this planned first. I don't care what anyone says, we had this planned first.
It's so hard because it was just like a perfect storm. As you said, this. And it was only just purely because I had COVID that we didn't do this one last week. And then all of a sudden, here we go. We were already prepared to do this episode. And between then and now, wow.
Well, that's exactly right. So, I think last week marked the 30-day mark, which is what we were looking about, a 4 to 6 week period, just to, obviously to do all those different things. To be truthful, and I don't know if I've already raised this, when we released that video, we meant it to be, and this is the update that I put on Instagram and YouTube as well, is we meant it to be not like a love letter, but kind of a, hey, this would be fantastic if we could see these changes across. It was taken in good faith. It wasn't like I said, that we didn't do it to be.
Yeah, I think from our point of view, like this, we tossed around a lot of suggestions, but the stuff that we actually put forward was not. We didn't think would have been difficult to implement, but would have provided, particularly the Aussies, with the value that we thought would have raised us up to, getting closer to the value, say, that the Americans were getting at the time.
Well, that's right.
And would have helped us a lot with our businesses.
Yeah. So long story short is that we pay the exact the same monetary value as the Americans, right? So I think they pay $29.99 a month from memory US, and
$34.95, I think it is.
All right, apologies.
So $35.
So $35 US, and that roughly converts to $62 after GST and all those different things for the Australian dollar. As what we brought out, that because of our time zone difference, and primarily just because of the time zones, we felt like a lot of the content that was made available to the US residents and the North American residents in those time zones was a lot more plentiful than the Australian. So realistically, a lot of the content that was probably beneficial to growing our businesses, as Granny said, that we had to rely on I suppose pre-recorded videos, the ones that, they would have been like live. You'd be no different to watching YouTube and seeing a live than going back and seeing it after the fact, because what we're trying to get across. That's right, and that's what it comes down to is interaction. So we wanted some sort of interaction that, and we said this previously in the previous episode, is that we didn't want to come to the point where we're saying, here's our laundry list of gripes and grievances, fix it. We offer some solutions as well, because I don't really, I'm an octopus that thinks to ourselves, well, there's no use bringing up an issue unless you can give some sort of resolution or something, the planning, building blocks of a resolution as per se. So what we suggested is that potentially we look at getting Australian or international people. So basically this doesn't just relate to Australians, it also relates to the UK and all the different people in different nations that are outside of North America. So that they get almost their own super team. So someone that sells jeans primarily, or someone that sells clothing, or ladies' dresses, or tech and games and all those different things, that almost to the point where they have a person that specializes in that relevant market, so that they can provide their own calls and work around that.
So it sort of would have been a mini group within the bigger group.
Yeah, that's right.
Relevant to your country. Yeah,
that's right. So kind of like that. Then that mini group obviously is not subservient, but falls in with that that Facebook group. Then they interact and all those different things. So and that wouldn't be and I don't know if it came across this way, but the plan was that group wouldn't be exclusive just to Australians. It wouldn't be just exclusive to North Americans or all those different things. So there's nothing wrong with cross-mingling and all those different things. And what I said before is that I consume a lot of the YouTube content for the US market and all those different things, because I find that helps my personal business, because things are changing. eBay, or things are changing on different platforms that we use over here. More often than not, you'll find that they'll come into the American market, then they'll come eventually over to the Australian market, and likewise to the UK. Australia is generally the testing market. So if we have things that are put onto eBay here, you'll eventually find that they go to the US and the UK and all those different things. So, like I said, it's very clever to probably forecast, and especially if you've got some spare time, that it's always good to get a different opinion, all those different things. So that's what we put forward.
And
how would you?
I guess the other thing that we did put forward that was it was an issue, and that was that quite a lot of the times the Australian call, which was weekly, the replay of that didn't get uploaded before the next call happened, which makes it difficult, because if you want to catch up on what you've missed, if you missed the whole call or even part of the call because you had to leave early or whatever, because those calls would go for 3 or 4 hours and you might only be able to be there for the first 2 hours, so you want to catch up on the 2 hours you missed prior to the next call, and quite often we weren't able to do that. Which created a little bit of a problem for moi.
Granny is right, and I forgot about that, and I apologise. Is that and I think that we use the word as ugly stepchild because that's how that we were, that's what our feeling was. And that wasn't just exclusive to Granny and I. We had, like I said, we won't name names, but we had numerous people within our community per se that were reaching out to us and saying, hey, look, we're having the same issues, and raising up these different things.
And Granny being Granny, I kind of put my hand up and said, well, when I notice earlier in the week that the Australia call hasn't been uploaded, I will post a note in the Facebook group to Tech and Chris and say, can we get the Australia call uploaded, please? And look, Granny is usually fairly short and sharp to the point. I'm not going to, what's the point in doing a whole heap of stuff around, frothing that message out? I just wanted that call uploaded. So I would put up a nice little Australia graphic and say, could we have the Australia call uploaded? I want to catch up on it before next week, and I sort of, volunteered to do that on behalf of quite a few members of the group. And apparently that didn't go down very well.
So look, for those that aren't aware, or that no doubt they'll probably get their pitchforks and chase us around and try and make old lady stew and calamari side dish. But so what happens is once a video is recorded, that generally within the next 24 to 72 hours, that video is uploaded to, I suppose, a central database within the Facebook group, which members can recoup that. So like Granny was saying, is if you miss the call or you can't attend the call, you've got a chance to go back and view it and pick up the tidbits of information. And this is not a reflection on the coaches or the people who are actually running the calls. It's just, like I said, it's just by nature of the beast, right? But like Granny was saying, is that it was a constant reoccurrence that the Australian calls and uploaded, or the UK calls and uploaded. To my knowledge, I've seen a couple of the UK ones.
So I think at the end, when I departed the group, I think I'd done 12 Facebook posts within the group, 9 of which were to ask for the Australia call.
And like I said, that it was a constant thing that we had to send reminders and all those different things. And like I said, that was primarily because of, to my knowledge, and this is, might be completely off kilter, is that, I think Chris was the one that was uploading videos. And like I said, he's a busy man and he's got those different things. So, and one of our suggestions was that, they either outsource to a VA that to do the calls and upload the calls from that perspective. So he's not
relying on someone else rather than.
Well, that's right. We're not relying on the one guy to do everything. The poor, I feel sorry for him and having all those different things. But like I said, that was a reoccurring issue, and that's something that we raised in our previous thing, and unfortunately, it continued going on. So basically, that kept going on. I'll let Granny fill it in, but. Later, what happened is that, so what happened next, Granny?
So, yes, after my 9 posts of saying that, can we have the Australia call? I went in to do another post because I was actually wanting to ask some advice off the guy that runs the ephemera call, and his calls, would have been a little bit difficult for me time-wise get onto. So I went to post that and I couldn't post it. And I looked up the top and there was a banner telling me that I was actually being limited. I could only do one post an hour, I think. Or it might have been longer than that the first day. I think I could only post one post a day. And yeah, so and my posts would not be put live until they had been reviewed. Now, the other issue with the group was there were only 2 admins for the group. So the only 2 admins were Tech or Chris. So until they had seen my post and okayed it, it wouldn't go live. Which is a problem in itself when you've got people on the other side of the world wanting to post stuff in a group. And if you're going to actually kibosh them and say, well, your post can't go live until we've actually okayed it, then you're going to have to wait hours and hours and hours for that to happen.
Yeah. So, and this, like I said, this has nothing to do with the current things that's going on at the moment.
This all happened before that.
Well, that's right. So I'll make it abundantly clear here that I do believe that is unacceptable. This is my stance from it, that you're basically censoring information that's going out. And that goes back to the question, and, and I don't make no apologies for this, is that the previous thumbnail, if you have read the previous thumbnail, my answer would be yes. Because, that any criticisms and any, less than favorable reviews of the group, like I said, we didn't do it as from a vindictive point of view. We didn't do it from a place of hatred or a place of that. We basically looked at it from a perspective is that I've said this numerous times across the 19 episodes that we've done and the 4,462 lives that we've done since then, is that we primarily want to see people get better. So we're not
we're being helpful, I think.
Well, that's right. We're nowhere near as aesthetically as pleasing as Tex Scody or Chris Lynn in entirety. But the thing is, though, we are quite attuned to Tech's model in the sense of saying, hey, look, we want the best for people, those different things. So we did that in an act of good faith, and to say that we got good faith back it was not amicable, put it that way. So long story short, that we found that was a lot of censorship going in the group. They didn't know at that stage they didn't know who the Octopus was, so that my posts weren't limited, because obviously my Patreon account was the Octopus, and my Facebook name was one of your
alter ego. Yeah.
Your Facebook name was John Doe, John Smith, depending on what day the flavour of the day was. But the thing was, though, because Granny is obviously quite vocal with who she is under the curlers, under the rollers, is that that they'll limit her post. And the basis on that was that she was being negative or critical or something along. I'm not too sure. I can't remember.
So I actually messaged Chris and Tech both and asked them why I had been limited within the group. And Tech's response was, well, it was a bit interesting. It was more sort of saying, well, just don't worry about it, ignore it, get on and do your business. And that was fine. So I waited for Chris's response. And Chris's response to me was that they had limited my posts because I was too negative in the group. And that's why I know exactly how many posts I made, because I thought, how am I being negative? So I went back and looked. And as I said, out of the 12 posts I'd done, 9 of them were asking very straightforward for the Australia call. And I couldn't see that was being negative. I was just asking. But I think because he was responsible for that, he probably felt that I was, kind of having a go at him all the time because he hadn't uploaded it.
Well, that's exactly right. That's pretty much the takeaway that I took away from it as well. But like we suggested,
and added to that our review.
That's right. Yeah, and I do think that we did experience punitive measures because of the review. Like we mentioned earlier, we had an Australian call. Without going too much into it, kind of went a little bit off the rails towards the end of the call, and we raised up. We asked. We'll put it this way: a lot of the Australians in that group, like whether they'd like to admit it publicly or not, did message Granny via Instagram, and myself via Instagram, and tell us, that they were quite happy with the review that we provided. They thought it was a step in the right direction for the group. but I suppose humans being humans, when it came push come to shove, they all shut down quite quickly in the live. By all means, you're more than welcome to put it in the comments section below if you think that our recollection is incorrect, because we do have proof otherwise.
We can't. I mean, it's very hard for us to actually specifically go into what happened at the end of that call, but predominantly, we kept trying to put our point, because the people that were, I felt attacking us back, they obviously hadn't watched the video. They were going on what other people were saying, because they did not get the basis of what we were saying in the video, and they were taking it from a very negative standpoint. So
I suppose the way the octopus would look at it is, and by all means don't take this in the negative light, is that I want to stay away from the words of cult and all those different things, and I'm being completely honest here, right? Because I have conducted some sort of university and I have done some studies in this thing. I'm not going to say I'm an expert, but I have some familiarities behind previous case studies that I did whilst at university. And doing my study per se, what I seen was very similar to what behavior would be inclusive of that, if you follow my train of thought. But further to what, and that wasn't the reason why I brought up the Australian call for. It was just a case of because it went off the rails. Then coincidentally enough, when Granny asked for that Australia call to be put up the following week or the following 2 weeks or something like that, she was told by one of the group heads, I suppose, you can work out who it was, that the call was corrupted and it couldn't be uploaded. Primarily because it was pardon the octopus's language, it was a shit fight, right? Like, it was a literal free for all where Granny and I were having to justify our position, in which what we honestly thought, like I said, we were doing something for the betterment of the group and the betterment for our community. So we had to do that, and that's neither here nor there. That's not the point I'm raising. But what happened was
but a funny thing happened, didn't it, Octo?
I was going to get to this point, but and Granny can fill it in. I'm not going to ruin the punchline. But so Grumpy Granny, relayed a message saying, "Hey, look, we would like this, placed up," because the whole call wasn't derailed. It was only the last hour of the 4-hour call. But so Granny, fill us in. What happened after that?
So funnily enough, the following week, when that video didn't get uploaded, and then I asked again for the following week's video to be uploaded, when I actually went in to watch the replay of that one, it actually was the one that they had said was corrupted.
So this is purely an allegation without allegation attached to that word, is that it was censored. I think that's the only way you can do it. It was basically unacceptable from my perspective. That it was a misrepresentation in the sense that they said that the file was corrupted. It was because that everyone had access to those different things, and I suppose and we did receive messages from, I believe it was Chris. I didn't receive anything from Tech, saying that, look, if you're not happy within the group, I'll offer a full refund and all those different things. So there was some communication between Chris, Granny, and I in Instagram saying, hey, look, we've got no problem with the group. We're just basically trying to make the group better, and from what we can see, that went kind of bounced back and back and forth over the space of a couple of weeks. I suppose particularly my last straw was when another group member basically said to in the Facebook group, can the Australian call be uploaded? So this was a systematic issue that was going on and on and on and on and on. And I just replied to Chris because he offered a full refund of our membership fees. And I just said, look, from my perspective, I can't, on the basis of what's the proper human terminology, to be comfortable with who I am and what I'm trying to represent in the YouTube community and the eBay community and within the community we're building, is that I can't be a part of this group anymore. And it was basically offered a 3-month refund and gladly took it. So basically
and
that
Granny did too, because it's one thing to run your group and control your group how you want it to be, but we're all adults here, and
that's right.
There shouldn't be censorship of those sort of things. And even when a call does get derailed like that, that's what happened. So that should not be censored, because you would have seen it if you had actually attended the call. So there's no reason why, if you were a member of that group and you pay to access those calls, that you shouldn't. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to access the full call afterwards, even if it was a shit fight.
That's right. So, and I think that, like you could argue it was a breach of contract, right? So we're basically paying $62 Australian a month for access to XYZ.
Yeah.
At no point in that, that Patreon and terms and conditions, and by all means, like, I didn't research the whole Facebook terms and conditions, and I can no longer do that. But there was no point where things would be censored, all those different things. And I think using the terminology, and like I said, that I haven't said this previously, but like I'll say it now, is that if the file had been honestly corrupted, or we had issues with Zoom calls sometimes not recording properly because of hosting issues and all those different things, that's understandable. That's human nature, and the Octopus accepts that full-heartedly. But do not make a false allegation or a false misrepresentation saying that the file's corrupted and it cannot be uploaded because it makes you look bad.
And I'm going to add to that too, because I do believe that there was a call further back that the same thing happened. There was another call further back where it said that couldn't be uploaded because it was corrupted. I actually went, and this call had happened before I joined the group, but I'd been told by a person that was in that call that they had actually they'd spoken very harshly to a particular member of the group in terms of, not harshly, but firmly, about how they were running their business.
Is this me? Was it the Octopus?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
So, you told me about that one. So I went back to find that call, only, because you'd said, that'd be interesting. So I thought, I'll go and watch it and see Octo in his fine form, giving someone, firm advice, and only to find that, that call was also corrupted.
Yeah. And I think in Gren, like I said, that was before Grenny came into the group, but I kind of recall that call having issues recording. So I don't think that was corrupted per se, but and Grenny's 100% correct, right? So I suppose my personal stance is that we joined that group to further our business, and further get Chris's and Tech's knowledge and all those different things. So I used to attend the Australian call, and I used to attend the social media call. And I said in the previous one, I would have liked to attend the $100,000 call and a couple of the other calls, but it didn't, unfortunately, because by virtue of my situation is I can't wait up till 1 o'clock in the morning, all those different things. That's not a critique of Chris or Tech. It's just a case that it's just the way it rolls, right? Like we can't change that. But like I was saying, is that on the flip side is that I expect no different to anyone else is to get my money out of that call. If we're basically, I suppose the Australian call was limited to 4 hours, I suppose. Then, to put it bluntly,
because it was another call that started Chris's call.
That's right. So to put it blunt, and this is probably going to hurt our dwindling subscriber base. The Octopus suffers no fools, right? So basically, we did have, and it was quite evident to me, and this is what I was talking about earlier about the community and the displacement and the vulnerability of the group, is that a lot of people, to me, and I may have raised this previously, or I may have read this in a previous video, is that a lot of people associate that group with a transactional cost. So they believe that they pay $62 a month, or they pay $34.99 US dollars. And then that will help their business by osmosis. So they don't, it's almost like a psychological thing. Like I said, I'm not an expert in this thing, but this is how I would explain it in your human terms. That's right. So basically what they're doing is that they're either using this, and one of our people that we deal with in a private chat ourselves, they weren't talking about this group particularly, but they basically said that they kind of use this group as a crutch, so that they need this group to basically survive, I suppose, for lack of a better term. So
and that may be, some people just don't have that self motivation to do something on their own. They need someone. They need someone to report to, but they also need someone to tell them what to do.
Well, that's right. And like I said numerous times before, if you fall into that category, full-time reselling is probably not for you. And that's not to say that you can't resell at all, right? Like, it might be best that if you have a part-time job or a full-time job and you just do resell. And like Tex says in his video that he did the other day, that, it helps provide that extra income. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're running a business, it's full on. And that's let's be brutally honest. A lot of these businesses won't survive in the group or outside the group. And that's just the brutal honesty of the situation. I don't care what YouTubers or TikTok stars or everyone in between tells you. It's very hard work, and it's not like peaches and cream and all flowers that you see on YouTube.
I think you mean unicorns and rainbows.
Or whatever you call it. I normally call it sea cows and manatees, but hey, what it is. But I think a lot of people can be disillusioned, and this, like I said, this is not a reflection on tech, or this is not a reflection on Daily Refinement. It's just by virtue of what I found in the group by itself, was that people almost they fell into this sense of security. They paid their money, and their businesses will shoot off like tech. They'll be doing $5 million a year, or they'll be doing like hundreds of thousands of dollars, all those different things. It's just not realistic, especially in this environment. With the economy, with the demographic, Australia's nowhere near as big as America. So, you have to look these into considerations. And a lot of people didn't do that. And, and like Grumpy Granny was referring to, is that it almost gets to the point where, an individual, and I'd like to say I apologize for doing this, but I can't because I think I did this person a favor, is that sometimes you need to do a bit of tough love in the sense of saying, hey, look, this is, the situation, this is what potentially is, and this is how I can forecast your current trajectory. That you're currently going to be sending yourself bankrupt, or you're not making money, you're going backwards and all these different things. Potentially that reselling full-time is not for you. Maybe it's a possibility of getting a job. And
we have a visitor.
Well, we're talking about eating cats last week. Hello, cat. Oh, he's gone. You just tell it you want to eat it and runs off. Jeez.
Oh, yes.
But like I said, and we've said this numerous times, so the octopus and Grumpy Granny want to do the right thing by people. And that's not monetizing these people, or it's not lulling them into a false sense of security so they're consuming a product that's not right for them. And that's the same as our YouTube channel. Like, if you're taking advice from a person in a costume and a lady that's dressed up as a 90-year-old, maybe you got worse things to do. So, like I said, that you need a self-reflection and a bit of have the ability to say, hey, well, maybe this is not for me, or it's not my strong suit. And that's not a failing as a human.
It's not. It's recognizing your strengths and your weaknesses.
Well, that's right. And that's not to say that
saying that this is not for me.
That's right. And that's not to say that you won't get better. Like I said, that you might take a legitimate course, like take a TAFE course, or take college, a community college, or take college, or whatever's relevant in your country that you're doing this from. Is that there are courses that teach you business. There are courses that do these different things, and depending where you fall on the scale of things, these courses may be free. For disadvantaged people, or people that are pensioners, or they're on disability pensions or disability.
A lot of the times they can be.
A lot of the courses are free, and these courses kind of plug you into like local business clubs, I suppose, like a better term. I can't think, all these different things that that give you access to mentorships and coaching programs, all these things for free or close to free, or if anything, they're covered by the government. Especially in Australia. Like, I can't speak for over the world, but these are the places that those vulnerable people need to go. And
it could be that one of those people finds a good mentor that does help them and understands. I mean, the difficulty there is to find someone that does understand, e-commerce, but they may find that right person, and maybe may turn their business around and do wonders. But it's very hard to sit back and watch someone week after week knowing how much they're spending to be a member of that group, and watching them, that their business is not improving, nothing's changing, the same thing's happening week after week, and it's very hard to sit back and not feel bad that you're not actually helping them by telling them you're wasting your money.
And like, I suppose a bit of background that Grumpy Granny wasn't attuned to. This particular member was like on that trajectory what Grumpy Granny was doing, on a week by week basis, that there was no growth, I suppose. And that's a very let's be fact about it. It's a bit of a dick move from my perspective to say that someone's not doing growth, but that's the crux of the conversation, right? That's exactly what happened. Was that he was offered, I suppose, private mentorship. I did reach out to him and say, hey, look, reach out to me and I'll assist you where I can. I'm not here to do it for you, but I'll assist you in that respect. And like I said numerous times through the lives and through these videos as well, is that you're more than welcome to reach out to me. I'm not going to speak for Greenie, but you're more than welcome to reach out to me on Instagram, ask me questions.
He can be actually very helpful at times.
Yeah, shush, you'll ruin it for everyone. But you can ask me a question. Like I said, the lie today is that if I don't know, I'll try and redirect you to someone that does, or at least if they're a YouTuber, their video. I have access, and I know personally some phenomenal people, especially in the Australian YouTube space, that don't have alternative motives, right? So I would personally, and I've said it numerous times, I don't recommend products or I don't recommend services that I haven't tried myself and then can wholeheartedly, fall behind. So, I can't help with everything, but if I do know someone, for the American, for example, that I'd have no problem with, suggesting the auction professor, for example, because I think he's phenomenal in ephemera and all those different things. And that's not a reflection on other people that sell ephemera. I haven't watched their videos, but from my interactions with that particular YouTuber was phenomenal and very beneficial. So I would have no problems, referring people to that person if that's what they're looking at doing, or vice versa. If they ask me something that I knew quite well, I would answer their question. But like I said, that it goes to it goes so far. I can't have my tentacles holding 8 different people at the same time. So I will afford you some some common courtesy and to say, hey, look, this is what I would do personally, or this is how I can assist, and but not an ongoing arrangement, right? So I can't particularly because.
Yeah, and the person's got to be able to do the work. Like, you can give them the suggestions and point them in the right direction, but they have to go and be able to do the work. You can't be there to hold their hand.
That's why I have a lot of admiration for Tech. I don't particularly care if he watches this movie and what he thinks of us in particular. That's neither a consequence to me, right? But I like his his work style and his reliance on people saying, hey, look, I'll give you the steps, or I'll give you the processes. It's you to get off your butt and do it, to learn how to do it and rectify it your own perspective. And I suppose I look at it from that perspective as well. And what we were saying earlier, Granny, is that I've got over 20 years of being in the military before I got out, so that's my background. So if it comes across I'm a bit pointed or a bit big background, that the octopus comes from a primarily military background, and if I didn't know Tech from a bar of soap, that's what I would have assumed his background was as well, because he's very process driven, very, very clean cut with his processes and all those different things. And this is not, like I said, a love letter to Tech, because like I said, that I don't particularly care one way or another what he thinks of us, or or all those different. And by, like I said numerous times, I wish them both well on their journeys, and wish everyone else well. But that's all those different things. But I have a lot of admiration for his work ethic and his way that he wants to help people, or he portrays to wanted to help people, because like I said, that we've only had limited dealings, and from what I've seen, I've been quite impressed. But like I said, but on the flip side is that the people are wanting to have to do the job themselves. So they're going to have to want to work, because it's no point, and going back to the Australian call again, I know I keep harping on this, is there's no point spending 4 hours on an individual or a set of individuals that are all in the same boat, whilst potentially we're all, like I said before, we're all paying that $65 a month for this training, or this this group, where our benefits diminished because we're not having an ability to change.
Well, that's right. And well, yes, because if those members that aren't changing are sucking up all that time too, constantly, it leaves less and less time for the rest of the group per se to actually get that benefit out of it for themselves.
So realistically, and I think going back to like I said, we can only comment on what we've seen, what changed. That it almost felt like there was a couple of placements, like what do they call it, blatantly obvious. What's the word for it? Like I can't think of the introduction. You know what I'm talking about. You'll know what I'm talking about in a minute. I'm going to be very careful the way I word this thing. So we made a suggestion that we would like personally, I would like to attend the $100,000 call, right?
Yes.
But was told obviously that that there's no different, that the information that was delivered in that $100,000 call was no different to what's available on the pre-recorded calls.
Tuesday call.
On the day call.
Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah, so then I said, well, that's well and good, but I've got other things going on myself. Like I can't, and this is my fault as well. I'm not saying that it's anyone in particular. And like I said, go back to the previous one, was that, but it just kind of felt like they planted someone in our call just to shut us up.
Yes, yes,
because
yes.
that. After us raising the issue of saying, hey, look, we really don't have an avenue to provide further building blocks, I suppose.
Well, where's the big expert that's talking, giving us information that we would have been able to get if we had been in that $100,000 call? And
that's right.
Yeah,
so I know I probably didn't word that concisely or succinct, and I can't think of the word, but it was almost that someone was planted just to save face, to say, hey, well, look, this is what you asked for, this is what you got.
It is.
And that's right, and that's, like I said, it's not a disadvantage on that person, or it's not a go at anyone particular, but
definitely not. And because we both commented during that call how great it was, and what great information was coming out of that particular call, and this is how, and I think we made the comment, this is how it should be.
So and I suppose that's a very long-winded way of saying, look, instead of doing
it was done to appease us, I think.
It's not so much appease us. I think, like, the way that I personally took it was to shut up. Here's a compromise.
That's what
kind of
appeasing
thing.
Is.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, but like I said, I'm still getting over your human words kind of thing. But and I'm not saying that was the different, like all those different things, but it was, me personally, I took offense to that, because I kind of felt like it was a band-aid solution to me. Instead of saying, hey, look, or even sitting down and engaging with us and say, hey, look, we can't, there's, the moons won't align and you can't attend that $100,000 call. And this is no way meant to sound like a bitch call or bitching session or all those different things. This is just something that we experienced, and we want you to be mindful of, the fact is that if you join groups like this is potentially something that you could probably raise counter yourself if you fall out of favor, per se. Where I would have preferred, either a sit down with the heads of the group to say, hey, look, we've watched your video, or these are the questions, and these are the concerns that we've got, or you made this representation which was incorrect, and all these different things. And we've said it in the previous video, and we said it in the update as well. We actually reached out to Tech. We sent Tech a copy of the video. I know I didn't mention him in the update, but you could pretty much allude to it. What was the terminology you used? You guys are crazy, smiley face, or something along the lines of that. So it kind of
watch the start of it.
So we sent him a private link before, like, would have been about 4 or 5 days prior to the release of the video. So he, from our assumption, and from, I suppose, from our perspective, is that he gave it all the all clear, because we wanted to be transparent in the sense that, hey, look, these are what our issues are. We don't want to be mistaken in the sense that can you please cross-reference what we've said to make sure that we haven't misunderstood anything or we're under false pretenses?
If there was something there that we were totally wrong about, we wanted to give them, the Lock Tech and the group, the chance to come back and say, because we could have cut segments out of that if there was something that we had have potentially said, that was really wrong.
I still don't know how to edit. I still don't know how to edit, but we would have tried.
Granny could have cut bits out of it.
Yeah, that's right. But like I said, that we did go to that, and that was blatantly obvious, and that was something that we were attacked on numerous times as well. Well, that's how we felt personally attacked. But
whereas we felt that he had given it the all clear because he hadn't come back to us with any issues.
Yeah, so, and that like I said, there may be just a miscommunication, all those different things, and that's not a reflection on Tech. It's just that we offered that as a symbol of good peace, I suppose, to say, hey, look, that we and this is very pointed, right? So every video that Grumpy Granny and I researched prior to doing our video was very over the top in praise, to the sense where that it was almost like a sponsored video, per se, without being a sponsored video. And granted, a lot of those videos were from the US, right? So that, and we did say numerous times that we would, if we were in the US, we would wholeheartedly recommend this, this Patreon group. However, we couldn't do that as an Australian because obviously we've got morals, and we've got obviously and we've said it numerous times that personally, I look at it from a social contract from the community that we're involved in, right? So
And it wasn't just because we were paying more dollars either. I mean, that was an issue, but it was the fact that the percentage of, if you take for $35.95 in America, you get this much. And yes, whilst the conversion, if you're even taking the conversion rate out, because of where we are in our time zone difference, we were only able to access this much.
Yeah. And
so
like
therefore,
I said,
things are not equal.
Yeah, and that's right. Like I said, that's as much as I'd love to blame Daily Refinement and tech for the world's time zones, unfortunately, it's not in their bag. But but you make a valid point, like that it's just nature of the beast, right? So it's circumstantial that like the Americans can get this and we get this in contrast to the same amount of money. And one of our suggestions was that they have like an Australian tier or a UK tier, which potentially maybe 25% cheaper, and that's all it needed to be. I didn't expect it, 25% of the cost, but maybe 25% reduction, just to say, hey, look, it's not feasible for you to do all these different things, or like we're saying, have a localized one that particularly deals with the Australians or deals with the UK and all those different perspectives. But like I was saying, is that we sent that video to tech to make it correct any misrepresentations we had. So, but ultimately, I would have liked to sit down with Chris or to tech, and
However,
done it through.
We will say they did try to cut that off at the pass, didn't they?
Yes, Well, you're talking about the third person?
Some people within the group and no one from the Australian side of things did jump in and try and cut us off at the pass from going directly to Chris or Tech with the information that we had. So,
So, and like I said, that's neither here or there. Like, that is a valid point. So we did have some hurdles, I suppose, because it came across as it was a hierarchy in the group. So we're and the quote that I will recall, and Granny can correct me if I'm wrong, is that one of the members in the Australian team said that they wouldn't like to go to Tech directly because they're scared of him, in the sense that not in the sense of physically scared of him, but just that because it's Tech.
And they'd be too nervous to go on one of his calls and ask him questions, sort of type.
Well, that's right. So and like I suppose that and that's that particular person. That I'm not making excuses for them, all those different things. But I think it's a case that it speaks volumes in the sense that if people feel like that. Some people are up here and they can't associate people because they've almost like a hierarchical system, all those different things. And like I said, I at no point did I see that there was pushed forward by Daily Refinement or Tech.
Like
it's not a reflection on them. It's just I think that because maybe it might be like a YouTuber syndrome, for example. Like,
I think they had Tech up on a pedestal, so therefore they felt that they couldn't, do the direct approach thing. Whereas, personally, I didn't feel that way. I respect Tech and I respect his business sense, and I did go into his call and directly ask him questions and stuff.
Because like I said, like from all the experiences and that we've dealt with Tech and we've dealt with Daily Refinement, is that they've always been approachable and all those different things. So that's not to say that they enforced a hierarchical system, but to me, that I believe that people in the group almost did. Because they might have been in the inner circle, or this is just from my perspective, that they may have had outside access to Tech and to Chris, in the sense that they may have known him on some personal level, or dealt with them on a separate entity kind of thing, and then that they tried to put themselves either through a hierarchical system or either through an importance structure kind of thing.
They thought they were of importance.
That's right. And like being a world dominating octopus, I politely not so pushed this guy, this gentleman aside and said, look, I really don't really care for what you're implying, and I'll just go to them directly myself. And that was another linchpin of potentially why we're looking at leaving the group.
And I think that sort of made me even feel, because I mean at that stage we didn't know whether these people were being paid to run parts of the group. I mean, Tech, I think, is pretty much basically, he's implied that in his video that he did when he disassociated himself from the group by saying they were all.
I
I don't remember the term is they were, they were contractors, running the things.
So the investigation that Granny and I did through private channels and through, I suppose, asking directly is that we were under the impression, and this is, like I said, that from the information that we received, that was no one was being paid. That, like I was under the impression that Tech was, a co-founder of the group, because obviously because the group was called Reseller Podcast, with Tech and Sports and Daily Refinement. So just the natural assumption is that that they're partnership. So and to my knowledge is that the coaches per se that were either doing it as an intrinsic point of view, saying, hey, look, I really love Jeans and I want to replicate the the Tech and Sports model where he gets everyone better and all those different things. So I was under the at the very least I would have assumed that they wouldn't have been paying a membership, but I wasn't aware
which
that
was fair enough.
That's right.
That's good,
but I wasn't aware that they were being paid or they weren't being paid. And I think a lot of our interactions in hindsight may have been different if they weren't being paid, because like I said, that I would have probably how can I word this, reassessed my membership earlier if I had known people were being paid, that we were blatantly told that they weren't being paid. Because I do think that that's a transparency issue. That what personally, that like realistically, put it this way, I don't care if you're being paid, but make it obvious that you're being paid. Don't play smoke and mirrors, and don't play all these little mind games that people aren't being paid and or they're being paid, or that
don't make it look like everyone's doing nice volunteer work to help
that's right.
When they're actually being paid.
That's right. And I can probably say that if I reached out to a couple of the Australians before before Tech's call video the other day, it was on YouTube, we would be all in the same boat, that either the coaches were doing it for free membership fees, which is fine, like I have no problem with that, and Tech was a 50-50 partner of the group. And like I said, that's not necessarily a reflection, but like I said, that's another trust issue thing that to me that was very opaque, to say the least.
Because in essence we were paying Daily Refinement. That was where the money was going, and that's where we got our refunds from. Was from Daily Refinement, not from Daily Refinement, Tech and Sports, or Reseller Nirvana, or whatever thing. It was all through Daily Refinement. But the overall, how shall I say it? They made us feel that the overall that they were 50-50, that it was 50-50. And and
it just, I suppose what my point was is that if people are being paid, make it blatantly obvious, right? So make it very transparent. And I would implore like Daily Refinement in his new group going forward, or the new structure of the group, and likewise Tech, if you are going to that model, is make it very transparent, so people know what they're signing up for. Is that like I said, that it's something like that, and it kind of makes me think back to that interaction with, like I was saying earlier, with that hierarchical system. Those individuals that I was having an issue with, were they on the payroll as well? That kind of makes me think from that perspective, is that because they're on the payroll, does that imply like a hierarchical system per se? Like I said,
that particular person certainly acted like as if he was third in charge.
Well, like I said, it's neither here nor there, and I don't particularly care. But like I said, that now having that new information come to light, I do think that I would have reassessed my membership a lot sooner than I did now. And that's not to say that, like I was blindsided or anything along the lines of that. It's just, it would have been, like I said, that a more transparency issue, because the more I dig into this thing, the more questions I keep coming up and all those different things. But like I said, that like, do I care if Tech or Chris Lynn watches this video? No, I don't. But what it comes down to is, like I said, that if you're going to take one thing away from this, and you didn't watch the first video, so there's no chance you're going to watch this one, is that make it transparent. Say, hey, look, I'm employing Grumpy Gradient, which I'm not. We're doing this as on a pro bono at the moment. But like I said, that we're transparent. We've said numerous times that Grumpy Granny's not being paid, and I'm not being paid, and we're not taking sponsorship deals from anyone, or nor donuts, as much as
no
donuts. Our donut plight. But the transparency comes into it, because like I said, that the more secrecy is shrouded and all these different things, and the video calls not being uploaded and all these different things going on, it becomes more and more, I suppose, really, really convoluted, doesn't it? Like, really,
it does.
really, opaque.
Well,
I think it's the only way of playing it.
I mean, I guess, every time something different happened, it made us ask more questions,
That's right.
Like, it's sort of, it was very, convoluted is probably a good word. Like, it was a bit of a mess, really. And look, the one thing I will make note of too, as I said before, there were only 2 administrators in that group. Well, theoretically now there's only 1 in that group, in the Daily Refinement Facebook group. I did note, I'm not a member of Tech's group, but I did note on when you go onto the Facebook page, there's only 1 administrator, which is Tech, and then 1 moderator that he's got as well. So it's only, again, now that group's currently got nearly 3,500 members with 2 people running it. So just be aware of that when you go to join these groups. Like sooner or later there are going to be issues because there's not enough people to oversee the whole thing.
Yeah,
to my mind.
Well, that's you're correct, right? Like, because a group becomes very you probably need a whole moderator base and all those different things. And like I said, it comes down to transparency. Are you paying these moderators, or what's motivating these moderators, and all those different things? So I would personally and I would implore for more transparency in the groups going forward. Like, do I think that I was scammed? No, I don't. I don't. From my personal experience, I don't think that I was scammed or robbed or stolen of information, all those different things. But
I got my value. I got value for what I in the end paid for after I got my 3 months refund.
Yeah.
So I'd paid for a couple of months. I got that couple of months worth out of it. I have to say, for the time that I was in there, just things could have been better.
Yeah, so like I said, that that I went in there knowing full well that I could only attend 2 calls, possibly the Australian call and the social media call, because I always like to to get on tune on what I'm doing and pretend I know what the hell I'm going on. But like I said, I was comfortable knowing that, and that's what I did, all those different things. Like I said, the transparency issue when I watched Tech's video a couple of days ago is that this very closed mouth that's always in a disgruntled position actually fell open, because like I almost felt gypped. Like I should have expected that this person was being paid, or these people were being paid, but at no point was it made.
It was
never mentioned or anything along the lines of this.
Slightest hint that they were.
That's right. And like I said, that it wouldn't have been a showstopper if they had to turn around and say, "Hey, look, this person, Grumpy Granny and the Octopus is on the payroll. This is what they're paid, or this is what they're doing. This is what they're going on. It might not be the way you do things in America. I'm not too sure. This is only personally from my experience, right? And from I suppose from our perspective is that that transparency is a big thing, and this probably goes on to to a follow-on call, is that like if you are looking at joining more community groups, or you're looking at doing all these different things or building a network, make sure transparency is on top of the list, because you want to make sure that, and this is talking to to the community or the displaced people or whatever you want to call yourselves, we like I said, that I don't think Tech, and I don't think Daily Refinement out to scam anyone from in the realms of the Facebook group and the mentorship program that we were a part of. Not commenting on other stuff, like we don't know enough and we don't really.
I mean, I do think they see it as an income. They're not out there trying to scam as such from that perspective, but they see it as an income stream.
Well, that's right. But like I said, that I was quite content with the product that I received, right? So I'm not going to speak for everyone, because
although you still didn't get the white papers, did you?
No, I didn't get the white papers. Where's my white papers? But the thing is though that was I happy with a 3-month refund? Yes, I was. And I'm forever grateful for that. And I think I would like to think that that's still an option, or some sort of refund is still available to those that are currently residing in the group. I'll let them make their own mind up, because I'm not going to implore them to leave the group, or I'm not going to implore them to stay. Everyone's an individual and they can make their own assessments and their own decisions. But I would like to, be reassured personally, but I would like some reassurance. And I'm pretty sure Daily Refinement said as such that, that refund process is still available to those people. Would I like to see the group
a lot
continue?
of people had paid like a 12-month membership to get a cheaper membership. So, if they decided to leave partway through.
Yeah. So realistically, if I was going to be brutally honest, do I think that group will survive in its current stance? No, I don't.
Yeah.
And I think quite
well,
honestly,
it's already not in the same. It's already not
at
the same level as what it was when we were in there, because as I said, they've lost all those coaches. The range of calls is down to about 10, I think, 10 or less. Only a few.
Yeah, and it might be a case of just giving everyone a refund, or everyone just say, hey, look, we're stopping billing from this date. We're purging the whole Facebook group and we'll restart. You're more than welcome to join back. Yeah, that's something to do with that perspective. But I don't think that it will continue in its current stance. So that's not through insider information. That's not through anything that I've done. It's just that my personal stance is that I don't think that it can survive in its current format. I think the best way forward for that Facebook group would be, like I said, to stop billing everyone with the 1st of November, then recreate a new Facebook group and start from scratch. Then, like I said, that no harm, no foul. If you want to still be here, you're more welcome with open arms, and vice versa. Because I think that, and going back into text group, and I don't run a Facebook group, so it's only by virtue of what the octopus would want in a perfect world, is that, like you're saying, is more moderators, more accountability, all those different things. Be transparent. There's nothing hurt. Like I said, that, and I can guarantee you there was probably a lot of shock comments in text video finding out that he was a 1099 employee. So these are, like I said, that's the kind of stuff that, from regardless of, if the Facebook group's embroiled in this, this allegations that are currently flowing around at the moment, is that, excuse me, I don't think either group's going to survive to the truth.
Look, I think probably the issue, there's a couple of things that I see with text group. As I said, that there's only two sort of basically administrators, or one administrator, one moderator. The other thing is, if it does, which I have heard a slight rumor that it's free at the moment, but will go to a paid model in November. That's just a rumor, okay? I can't confirm or deny that. If it does, and you have to then start paying a membership, I would be wary on that, in the fact that, Text Plan always was to retire and get out of that area early next year. So what then happens to that? If that's a whole group that he started, is he putting in place the steps to, someone to take over as, heir to the throne sort of thing?
Yeah. And that was one of our previous critiques in the last video that we did as well, is that, and this is, like I said, that, it's common knowledge that Daily Refinement's no longer on eBay, and Text, retiring in the next 12 months, for example, that how relevant is that course or that Facebook group going to be to you? After that? Because, let's face it, right? So the Australians, our primary platform now, because Poshmark has been taken out by myself apparently, is that it's eBay. But if you are, an Australian and you're looking at staying in the Daily Refinement group, this is, like I said, this is, only conjecture from the octopus, is that how much value can you reasonably expect to get out of that group? And likewise, and as much as I have appreciation for tech, and all he does is that he's very US minded. Like everything he does is that, serving a population of 280 million people in America, however many people it is. We've got under 30 million people in Australia. So you literally got 10th of a market share. So when he potentially looks at saying, hey, I want to do $5 million a year, all those different things, maybe the cap in Australia is $500,000, because, if we look at the law of averages and all those different things. So you need to be very mindful of that. So, like I said, that, I wish them both well with their Facebook endeavors and their respective groups if they go down that path.
And going along with that too, which something just sprang into my head then, is that when you look at that with the population numbers and things, and, him saying that he can do X amount of dollars, and that it's quite possible for other people to do X amount of dollars. And you're quite right. That may be possible to do that over there when you have got a population of this many people in your localized area per se country. I mean, you're going to do, yes, there are a lot of international sales, but that's only a percentage of your sales. So, but then when you look at Australia's population, we don't have as big a captive audience, do we?
That's right. And it's basically, it's, look at YouTube, for example. I'll use that as a comparison, right?
Yeah.
Like, we'll just say Back from Burnout's our top reselling community person in Australia. So she just clicked over 30,000, maybe closer to 31,000 subscribers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say a mediocre channel in America, but let's say that a mediocre channel that maybe in America it might have 100,000 viewers.
Yeah.
So would on the basis of averages, would Back from Burnout should have a 300,000 video subscriber channel in contrast, because they got 10 times the audience in America. These are the different things. So if you look at it from that perspective, to an eBay perspective or a reselling perspective, is that they've got 10 times the amount of people in the States. So, you need to take that into consideration as well. And it's like I said, that I don't particularly care about Daily Refinement or Tech and Sports, so which way they go and all those different things. I wish them well on their endeavors, and I don't wish them harm. And like I said earlier in the thing, is that
we just we just want people to be careful.
Well, that's right. Please remember, that Daily Refinement, Chris Lynn is a human. He's got a family and all those different things. So, please refrain from, sledging him or throwing shade at him and all those different things. If he has done anything wrong, which in accordance with the allegations against him, that will sort itself out, right? So, people on YouTube and keyboard warriors don't need to get involved in all those different things. Like I said, they'll anything
it'll all come out in the wash. Octo.
Well, that's right. Yeah. So basically, if there's anything.
Just like dyeing jeans comes out in the wash,
right.
I've heard.
That's right. Yeah. So Tech and Sports, he tells me how to wash jeans. So basically, when like I said, that if the allegations are proven or they're disproven, all those different things, we don't care about that, right? So we don't particularly care. But all we care about is that obviously Chris Lynn has a family and he's got all those different things. Is that we don't really want to pile on him from a mental health perspective and all those different things, and obviously do. Go down that path. So please be mindful that he is a real upright, breathing human, and he doesn't deserve probably half the flack that I've seen on Facebook, eBay, YouTube at the moment. And like I said, that I don't know him personally, and all the interactions that I've had with him particularly, they've always been pleasant or very dignified and professional. So not to say that if you've been affected personally, that's not to say that obviously the same stance as that. And I'm not putting words in your mouth, but those people that haven't dealt with him or haven't no different to you, Granny. Like if people haven't met you, they can't really make an opinion on you.
No, that's correct. Yes,
I think that's probably the best way to say it.
So, and that being said, it was said one night in the Australia call that they, after me being in the Australia call and talking, I think there were a couple of people commented that I was quite different to what they perceived I was.
That's right. So we just want to re-amplify. We're characters, right? Like what we portray on this YouTube channel is not necessarily who we are. Like Grumpy Granny is only somewhat grumpy, and I'm only somewhat disgruntled, right? So. We're doing that, but like I said, I just want to.
I'm about 90%. Me.
I'm probably 88 myself, but I think I suppose from my background, what I've seen personally, there's a lot of things, and this is a bit of a trigger warning, is that I don't want people to push Chris Lynn to the point where he does something stupid. Like all because people looking for views or they're chasing clout chasing all those different things. So just be mindful that he is a father, all those different things. And if the allegations are proved true or otherwise, like Grady said, it'll come out in the wash. So that's all I have to say in that perspective. But I suppose.
And the other thing I want people to be mindful of is your fellow resellers that and if you do know of people that were members of that group that may be feeling a little bit displaced and lost at the moment. Maybe you reach out to them and
take advantage of them.
Yeah.
Is that what we're going to say? Take advantage?
No, we're not. Oh. We're going to give them a little bit of support. It's what we're going to do.
Yeah. So like I said, that's my mate, because Chris and Tech are big enough and ugly enough to look after themselves. And I'm more particularly worried about people in the community, and that goes for everyone. Grumpy Granny and I, no doubtly pissed a lot of people off, or a lot of followers. You can read that as you will. But like I said to Granny, and I've said to numerous people, is I've got very thick foam under this, so basically it's not going to affect me. You'll never offend me. So by all means, that there's no love
and my
lost.
hair's turned grey already, so they
No,
can't make it go any greyer.
But like I said, I would rather have people come out and reach out to me and chat to me and all those different things than and tell me if they're having a hard time, or tell me what's going on, all these different things, so we can assist. Like Grumpy Granny and I are here just to help and not take advantage of anyone, and not just basically trying to be as real as we can and and help those displaced people. I really don't care who you are. You could be just someone that's brand new, or you could be someone that's got 31,000 people on YouTube. I really don't care. That like I said, that I don't take offense to anything. If you got a problem with me, by all means, hit me up on Instagram or reach out to me. You know who I am. But like I said, it's just a case that we want to make sure that people are looking after themselves, because these things, especially if that Daily Refinement group was their whole life, and like we said in our community live earlier, 10 o'clock on Thursdays, was that that people are very lonely in this position, right? So all of a sudden that that Grumpy Granny and I and 4 other people might have been really tight, then 5 of the 6 people that we're tight with disappeared and they've gone their own ways. Then all of a sudden I'm left by my own devices again. And things might start creeping into your mind, or things that you kind of feel like you need that crutch, that all those different things. So please reach out to the appropriate services, to get help if you need it. I can't stress that enough, because like I said, that's something that it's quite close to the octopus. So be mindful of all those as well. But I was going to say, I've lost my train of thought, but like I said, we're more worried about the community, because we don't want people like displaced and falling into scammers' hands, or doing $99 phone calls and all those different things. And regardless, and throwback as well is that YouTubers that say that we're wrong, or that that you should be spending money doing coaching to level up all those different things, kind of look at it from the angle of why are they saying that? Are they prying themselves up for a course themselves, or are they prying them up from membership? Like I said, Granny and I, I assume Granny and I, but me personally would never offer a mentorship, because I don't know everything. I don't know anything. And by all means, I'm able to assist in limited capacity and help you where I can. But I wouldn't charge.
That's one of the things, and I talked about that in the live this morning, that, a suggestion had been put forward to me a while back about starting a book group, people that sell books on eBay, that we could do Zoom calls, weekly Zoom calls, and talk about books and, what are good books and blah, 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 particularly when it comes to vintage books and things. But, when I did look into it, it would have to be a paid component, because to have the length of Zoom call we needed, that didn't come for free. So the Zoom calls had to be paid for. And I wasn't prepared to go ahead with something that people had to pay for, because I certainly don't believe that I'm expert enough. I mean, I can tell you what I know, but I certainly wouldn't call myself an expert.
Yeah, and that's something like I said, that and we talked about this morning, and Uncle Wayno mentioned a few names that that we would like to see. If anyone did do that or took it to that level, that there'd be a couple of people that we would suggest in, especially in our environment, right? But like I said, that regardless if you're from Australia, UK, US, or the Bangladesh or some Philippines, I really don't care where you're from. Reach out to your support services, or reach out to me. I'm more than willing to have a conversation with you, all those different.
Because something else that just struck me too, Octo. I mean, there could be people that are super reeling because they've been Poshmark sellers.
Well, that's right.
In either Australia, India, or England, and also members of the Daily Refinement group. Like, this would have been a hard week.
Double whammy. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. So we just want to make sure that everyone's doing well for themselves. Like, we're not here to, like to sell you any specialized courses or anything. But just reach out to, it doesn't necessarily need to be us, right? Like, you've got support services in your respective countries and all those different things you can play out with. So
definitely. And look, sometimes it's a simple matter of contacting, even if it's a YouTube seller that that is a much higher level than you are, and even if you're you haven't ever had contact with that person before, send them a message, because people like that will often reply back to you. Possibly how I came in contact with Octo in the first
Yeah,
place.
probably.
Anyway,
I'll lose my voice. I've been out of salt water for too long. But yeah, no, like I said, that like the only caveat I would be, if you are reaching out to people, is that be mindful that they don't owe you anything. Yeah, by all means, like I said, that I'm happy to engage in conversation, all those different things.
Be patient, give them time to get back to you and stuff, because there are other things going on in people's lives.
Yeah, because I have seen previously where people reach out to some people and haven't got a response in the 30 seconds, and they're starting a barrage of abuse and all those different things. So you're not doing yourself any favors from that perspective. So
yeah, I think Octo is just about out of voice.
I am.
Really, and I suppose an hour and a half this morning, nearly, and then an hour and a half. You've talked for 3 hours straight today.
Well, that's right. That's exactly right. But I think that the main takeaway from this is you need to like and subscribe.
Yes, please.
No,
especially subscribe.
I was about to say to Granny's channel. But like I said, that we're ticking along quite nicely on this channel. But please reach out to Granny. I'll put her links in the YouTube description of this video. She does provide 3 hours of her time a week. Putting up with my crap and. Yeah, definitely worth it.
Get paid for that, shouldn't I?
Oh, geez, I'm losing my voice. I think you're giving me your COVID. But like I said, the main topic of this conversation is like I said, whilst it was about our little bitching session about what we experienced and how hard done by we are, is that our main focus probably the displacement of the community, right? And be very, very, just don't fall into the trap of just moving from one group to another. Take that with what you will, just because, like I said, that you need to have, it probably gives you an opportunity, a learning opportunity, and even probably a business opportunity, just to say, hey, well, look, I am worth more than $64.99 a month or something along to this. So you're just as much of a product as they are, from that perspective, right? So it might be a case of saying, hey, look, I expect, this is my list of expectations. I demand transparency. I demand X, Y, Z, and all these different things. That if we do a call in this new group or this old group, I expect it to be uploaded in 12 hours. All these different things. So and like I said, if you are wondering why an old lady with a hat on and an octopus is rambling about a course that, or a Facebook group that recently imploded, for lack of a better term, go back to our previous video and have a bit of a watch of that. And but if Daily Refinement or Tech and Sports are watching this, which I don't think they will, go back to our last video, go back to this video, and implement our changes or our recommendations.
And it's funny, timing is a very funny thing sometimes. Fate is funny because when it's just all the way that it's fallen. We did the review like a month ago and put the podcast out, and we planned to do this review on our review, like a post review, I suppose, would be more like it, to let you know what had happened and whether any of the changes that we suggested have been implemented. And they basically hadn't, most of them. Then I was told I was being negative. I'm just putting this all in a little nutshell. I was told I was too negative, and that, but that was more censorship, I think. And I feel a little bit of punishment for our review, even though that I don't think they'd watched it. I think they were just going on what other people were saying. And basically then we were offered refunds to leave. So,
it was definitely punitive. It was left a bad taste in my mouth, I suppose, with dealing those two individuals. I'd be quite I would consider heavily if I was to rejoin those groups, and that's not to say that model going forward. Like I said, we provided a few suggestions. Like I said, it was from a geez, that cat. I'm gonna get that cat. We provided some suggestions. We provided some suggestions on what we would like to see from our perspective, or how we believed we could, provide suggestions to improve the group for different elements. Like you said, we received a very punitive response to that. Was I? And put it this way, I'll be very blunt here, right? So I don't particularly care, right? If you want to come at me, you want to, by all means, in the comment section below, tell me. What I'm a lunatic and all those different things, and replicate the words that you probably used in the previous one. But where I do pull the line is that you don't drag Leanne into this, because like that call that went, I suppose, corrupted. that I had to jump in because I expected a better of a lot of people. I'm not going to make names. I'm not going to out people. And by all means, in the comment section below, you're more than welcome to do that yourself, and we could talk about it afterwards.
Yep.
But like I said,
and we are happy to have a conversation about it if you so
Yeah.
want to privately, if you want.
And I expect better because especially your placement within the community. That I think that that no one like I said, we came from a place of goodwill. We we did it from a constructive point of view, for the betterment of our community, and for Leanne to be spoken to the way that she was, not by this is not a dig at Chris or to Daily Tech and Sports. It was totally unacceptable, and like I said, that you're more than welcome to come after me.
Called respect.
That's right. You're more, and like I said, that we were doing it from a perspective from trying to better the community, and the reaction that we got was very, very subpar, and what I wouldn't expect it from that community.
Yeah.
So, like I said,
and you're more than welcome. I have to say, Octo did come to my defence, which was rather nice.
Yes, but as much as that, I hated it. But but like I said, that don't drag Granny into this, and don't by all means you can come after me and have a go at me and tell me what you think. But like I said, that when Leanne was trying to explain her situation and how she would like to see it in a civil manner with a cat on her lap, it's just very unwarranted and uncouth. So
oh, you've seemed to have vanished. I think you've gone.
There we go. I'm back again. I was going to say on the back of that, I think we're done for another week, Granny. And
I think we are.
Like I said, it's purely from our experiences. We're not making anything up. So by all means, you don't have to take it with a grain of salt. We have a lot of evidences, and we're not going to threaten to send anyone to prison. Put it that way.
No,
we're not like that. No. I think that's a bit over heavy-handed, a bit psychotic on my perspective. But even for a world-dominating octopus,
you're doing a bit more under the table.
No, so that's right. That's exactly right. You just disappear in the middle of the night. You just don't threaten to go to jail.
Just kidnap someone instead.
Well, that's right. But but like I said, that it's just a representation of what we experienced, all these different things. And I would implore you, if you are considering joining either group or any group for that matter, is that get a bit, flesh it out for a little bit and see what systems behind the thing. Because like I said, that that for me, the transparency was very eye-opening when it came out that like the structure of the group. So but
it did perhaps explain a lot of things, though, did it not?
Well, that's exactly right. So like I said, it comes down to play in the sense that the community, would you join that community if you knew that's how it was being ran, or the expectation that like I said, that if you're going into a group, have clear expectations and have clear just don't conform to the group's expectations. By all means be respectful and all those different things, but if you're paying X amount of dollars for a service, get that service, and don't let people tell you otherwise, or have them censor you when you question why aren't you getting that service. And that, I think that's it for us for another week, Granny. But thank you very much for putting up with us.
Yeah, thank you everyone for listening to our big story.
Yes, right. And we'll hopefully get some new subscribers. By all means, like I said, please reach out to Granny and subscribe to her channel. And if you're not already done so, subscribe to this channel, because we would love to see you back.
We talk about all different things, but the one thing you'll always get from us is an honest opinion.
Well, that's right.
and a straightforward opinion.
Well, that's right. And we don't want to be tarred as a negative channel, right? So we're not here to, so we will go back to a lighthearted entertainment next week. We will do a lighthearted I'm
going to do some tap dancing, and
that's right. That's exactly right.
Octo's going to dress up as a pumpkin.
Well, I was thinking, that's right. I was going to shave my eyebrows off, but I think I might do a pumpkin a little bit easier. But like I said, we just basically try and do things for the betterment of the community. So if that's the case that we have to bring up negative things occasionally, it just so be it, because like I said, that the community is our number one focus. And making sure that people aren't taken advantage of. But anyway, we'll say adieu for another week. But thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.